Greetings, programs. This is Wretch. Welcome back to Vampire the Masquerade Reckoning of New York. And I am really glad that you guys enjoyed the first episode of the series. And definitely a different tone, a darker tone than the previous two games, if you can believe that. Our main character, Callie, is already in the thick of it and being dragged to judgment at the Elysium. We didn't even get to visit our RV. Now I'm being slammed with some bullshit accusation and hauled to Elysium for interrogation. What the fuck? There's no way I'm playing along. Well, maybe I am, seeing as I'm about to go fang to fang with New York's Ivory Tower. Wonder how they're going to deal with a Ravnos right in the middle of them. Only one way to find out. So, this is their joint. The Art Hole. Seriously, could they have picked a more pretentious spot? The Ivory Tower splinter has wedged itself right in the middle of New York City's swankiest row. Welcome to the still heart of the Camarilla's intricate machinations. Here's where the local Kindred clink their glasses, all the while plotting each other's demise. Unless, of course, you're a pariah like me, an outcast from the wrong clan with a knack for stirring up trouble, in which case, you're screwed from the get-go. Clan, a bloodline of vampires who share common characteristics passing on through the blood from sire to child. There are 13 distinct clans in the modern night, as well as the Caitiff, Thin Bloods, and innumerable minor bloodlines. Honestly, I preferred not knowing how posh it is. Places like this don't exactly roll out the red carpet for someone who deals with my kind of stuff, but since I've got no immediate escape plans, might as well play along. I'd happily shit on it on principle, but gotta admit, it seems pretty low-key on the outside, not counting the two chuckling goons who clearly missed the memo on blending with the crowd. And on that note, is there a giggly worthy revelation you'd care to share with me, Birdie? Your demeanor hints at a job well done, does it not? The awkward freeze frame those two are stuck in would be comedy gold if I wasn't knee-deep in my own mess. Yeah, Miss Duvall, sir, I mean, not really anything too wild, you know? Just like the usual stuff we're seeing, I guess. Does this usual stuff include dubious characters within a mile's reach of Elysium? Groups for which you were specifically instructed to watch out? 3 of them, to be exact, if my count holds true. 3 groups of what? Honestly, I didn't spot a thing. Then again, maybe I'm just not clued in on what to look out for. Let her cook. Alright. I mean, I apologize. We really shouldn't have... Yes, you really should have. Boy, that shot through him like an icy bullet. I wasn't exactly cozy myself, but that poor sod probably just shed the last ounce of warmth left in him. Return to your duties at once. I'll be expecting a detailed report within the next hour. Yes, Mr. Duvall, sir. He waddles off like a scolded kid, and his pal refuses to meet our eyes. I throw Valerie a look of unwilling respect. She obviously holds some serious clout in these parts. Come now. Dragging your feet earns you no favors. And believe me, you could use a few. Is that an offer, Miss Duvall? Her smile serves as enough of a silent veto to make it clear that prying any further is futile. Not exactly a good sign. She swings the doors open, but there's no warm invitation in the gesture. The place doesn't quite live up to the posh art gallery image in my mind. Sure, there's a hint of what could be Basquiat on the walls, but most of the art is either shoved aside or covered up. My instincts shift into overdrive. First up, a quick room survey. Scan for access points. No exposed fuse boxes, no signs of optical fiber installations. Frankly, not a trace of any civilized tech in sight. That's the thing with these old school meets modern buildings. It just doesn't sit right with me. But of course, it's exactly the Camarilla's style. Step 2 practically unfolds on its own. The room's a powder keg of Kindred in the middle of an intense debate. The tension is palpable. Suspicion dialed up to 11. That's when their voices finally break through the walls of my focus. Wouldn't have been such an issue if we had taken action when the signs were so glaringly obvious. That long-haired hunk must be Qadir al-Asmi, the Camarilla sheriff. I had my fill of stories about him, but now I can put a face to the reputation. Sheriff, a kindred who maintains order within the prince's domain, often acting more as a hitman than a peacekeeper. As the Camarilla frowns upon modern ideas like due process, most executions take place without a trial or any opportunity for the accused to defend themselves. If only the rest of us were blessed with your profound gift of foresight, Sheriff, life would be a walk in the park. Allow me to emphasize, our risks aren't limited to a single front. Acting on a gut feeling might work wonders in motion pictures. Here, in the real world, it's a different story. This one's a mystery to me, but the way he's navigating the conversation, he's clearly a heavyweight in these parts. Spare me the pretense of ignorance, Arturo. The pattern was unmistakable well over a month ago. Now, Arturo. Thomas Arturo? Shit. Brainerd explicitly told me to steer clear of this guy's mess. The bickering rages on, and Valerie doesn't seem eager to reveal her catch, aka yours truly. Your playful decision to allow the Thin Bloods to appoint Larson as their primogen raises his final death to a level that can be casually swept under the rug, Helen. Thin-blooded or not, it throws into question our grip on the situation. There's Aisling Strubridge. That gothed-out Ally McBeal? Definitely Aisling Strubridge, the Tremere Regent. The Regent is responsible for the tutelage of all other Tremere in the domain. While the Regent may not teach them personally, they must ensure all Tremere are being educated. The Regent's other duties extend to the clan's protection in the domain, and sometimes its representation on the Primogen Council. I've been curious if Raynard's operation extends into the local chantry, but he was, as always, tight-lipped about his private affairs. A traditional name for the Tremere headquarters in a city, usually part shelter, part library, and part laboratory. What would you have me do then? Unleash our dear sheriff without adequate reconnaissance, just in the name of haste? We can't overlook his excessive efficiency in the last skirmish, can we? Doesn't the prospect of a masquerade breach give you pause? Behold the queen bee herself, Helene Panhard, the reigning prince of Sticks Up the Ass. A Camarilla vampire who asserts territorial control within the sex domain, be it a single borough or an entire city, must be either impressive or cunning enough to be recognized as the leader. Alternatively, they could just be pliable, merely being puppeteered by their court during their princedom. I figure you're all fond of keeping things the way they are. But there's times just sit back and think, and then there's times when you gotta step up and do something bold. This feels like it's time to make a move. An anarch championing chaos, a revelation that somehow fails to astonish, O esteemed Baron of the Bronx. Baron, an informal title for the anarch leader of a domain. How they acquire exercise power varies by domains and groups. They may be charismatic gang leaders, brutal warlords, or an elected public representative, but a particularly distrusted type of Baron is one who can claim the sole seat of a whole city, like their Camarilla analog, a prince. An anarch Baron inside Elysium? Now that's a plot twist. What's the deal here? As I continue to look around, another figure catches my eye. A young-looking woman, entirely decked out in black, casually playing with a cigarette. Oh, that's our character from Shadows. She shoots me a brief glance, clearly picking up on my curiosity. That ancient fart in the wheelchair whispering to his servant. Who's that? Right as he's about to chime in, some lanky guy I totally missed till now decides to butt in. My apologies for interrupting, Mr. Payne, but it appears Miss Duvall has brought forth the issue you mentioned earlier. It might be wise to ensure she's not exposed to unnecessary information. You know what? Let me try that, because this is the other character, isn't it? My apologies for interrupting, Mr. Payne, but it appears Miss Duvall has brought forth the issue you mentioned earlier. It might be wise to ensure she's not exposed to unnecessary information. How did I overlook this guy? He's all limbs and quirks, playing with some odd ring on his finger. He sticks out in this upscale bunch like a sore thumb. Is my mojo on vacation or what? Yes, thank you for that shrewd observation, Caitiff. Caitiffs are vampires without a clan. Distrusted by their peers, they're scorned because of their lack of lineage, but also feared for their unpredictability. Jacks of all trades, but masters of none, each pander makes their own way in the society of the damned, free from both ancestry and expectations. Monikers, the clanless, panders, orphans, trash, scum, freestylers, and panders were the name for the Sabata line versions back in 3rd edition. She hurls those words like she's spitting venom. Whatever the opposite of sympathy is, she's brimming with it. Wait. Caitiff? Esteemed council, I give you the troublesome Ravnos neonate. I gathered you all desire a swift resolution to this matter. A young kindred, recently embraced but released from their sire's protection. Especially given her reluctance to cooperate. As if on cue, every eye shifts to me. I'm not one to buckle under stage fright, but this silent ostracism is on a whole new level. In this room, I'm on my own. I understand the formal necessity of addressing all this, as well as my role in the matter. However, there are more pressing concerns demanding attention. Far more pressing. Shall we discard all traditions too while we're at it? We've pirouetted around the Hudson problem for more than a year, yet progress remains as stale as our debate. Certainly a few additional moments to honor the very few laws you spearhead so vigorously couldn't hurt. Could they? The Hudson is a completely different beast, as you're well aware. We need to address the locust swarm engulfing New York before Camarilla's entire framework crumbles beneath its weight. And how does that sit with you, Payne? Just last night, 2 Duskborn and a fledgling from your clan were reduced to ashes, and we're still in the dark about who's pulling the strings. Shouldn't that worry you more than policing the purity of the Red Market? Fledgling, a newly created vampire still under their sire's protection. The old guy's servant steps forward, all awkward and rigid. In principle, I agree, Sheriff. However, should we continue to disregard even minor infractions, we broadcast a message of vulnerability. Vulnerability threatens our efforts within and beyond our borders, efforts we plan to carry on without interruption once the locust swarm, as you've termed it, is eradicated. I can't believe I'm saying it, but I'm inclined to agree with Gramps on this one. We can't simply let something like that slip through the cracks without taking proper measures. So, you've assumed the role of his advocate now. Quite the bold ascent up the ladder of your own making, Julia. What's next on the horizon? Another hostile... Enough! Enough already. An awkward silence falls over the room, but it seems more about customs than actual respect. Guess we're all just creatures of habit, undead or alive. The sheer theatrics of the situation give me a moment to sneak a glance at... the prince, the sheriff, the old fart... Well, right now, I figure the sheriff is the only one who is even slightly like, hey, we've got other fish to fry, and we want to find out the fish, so... The sheriff's avoiding eye contact with me, which you typically read as a weakness, but it's far from that. In fact, he's ice cold and focused. His gaze meeting mine might be the last thing I see before bidding farewell to my undead existence. But there's something deeper. He appears untamed, like a wolf in an ambush, perfectly still yet poised to tear into anyone foolish enough to trigger his fury. When the prince finally manages to speak, her voice lacks the confidence you'd anticipate from someone at the helm. We're all here for the same reason you are, Aisling. Or am I mistaken, you forget where your loyalties lie? Even now, as she turns to me, her presence is weighed down. Not that I care. My head's on the chopping block, and she's the one calling the shots on whether it stays put or rolls off. Now, let's put this issue to rest here and now. Strive for brevity, Sheriff. Understood. The weight of his gaze is enough for me to lower my shoulders. Whatever comes, it's not going to be pretty. Kali of Clan Ravnos, you stand accused of violating the New York Camarilla's praxis, infringing on the tradition of hospitality, and endangering the Masquerade, among other things. The hospitality, keeping tabs on who is within the city, has become difficult in the modern age of refugees and global citizens. While some princes erect walls or attempt to control the borders through political means, others give up on enforcing this law. But it still honor one's domain. When thou comest to a foreign city, thou shalt present thyself to one who ruleth there. Without the word of acceptance, thou art nothing. Well, shit. Wait, on what grounds? Drop the act. There's a wealth of evidence of that recreational vehicle of yours, most of it confirming the suspicions we've been harboring over the recent months. Petty theft from our subjects, impersonation of other kindred, lineage forgery. Need I go on? Okay, guilty. But when do they start caring? It's not like I'm the only one dipping my toes into the ocean of misdemeanors. At least they don't know about our artifact gig. But your involvement in large-scale blood and mortal trafficking, outside our scrutiny and the jurisdiction of the circulatory system, is as obvious as it is dangerous to the stability of our domain. Large-scale my ass. We hardly move anything through New York. Definitely not enough to impact their operations. Plus, we're super careful. Especially with your clientele often being in direct hostility to our interest, as Primogen Payne was kind enough to confirm. Seriously, this can't be right. We always check out our clients. Well, Raynard does, but is this some twisted way to set an example? Are they playing the undead IRS? What is their game, really? While some might chalk this up to colossal stupidity, I am neither so forgiving nor tolerant of fraudsters who respect nothing but their own gain. I'm not blind to the fact that Raynard's completely MIA in this whole story. He's the big cheese, the head honcho of the entire affair, though calling it an affair might be giving it too much credit. So why are they making out like I'm the mastermind behind some global crime syndicate? This is not the time to be quiet, Raven. Ravnos, masters of misdirection. The Ravnos prefer not to fight or bleed, but something they can obtain through subtler means. They can charm and vanish within the same mortal breath, and those once fooled quickly learn to question their very senses when in the company of ravens. Always on the move, the Ravnos can never rest in the same place for long. Oh, we already read this, I'm sorry. You know what? Fuck them. I'm not going down without a fight. Let's see. Let's try Daunt. This is not going to work, but... Obviously you found something. How could you not when you're the one who planted it there to begin with? Careful, Icarus. I've watched The Exonerated. I know the drill. Look, I get you need someone to pin this on, but you've got the wrong... Out of nowhere, something pierces my mind, shredding its defenses to dust. It's like my head's been turned inside out, exposing my very thought for their amusement. I whip my head toward the source of this eerie sensation, and boom, there's Kadir, the freaking sheriff with those piercing eyes, slicing through my layers of BS like it's cake. I earnestly hope you're not taking me for a fool. That would be a misstep of monumental proportions. unlike anything these walls have witnessed. I get a glimpse of Aisling out of the corner of my eye, silently mouthing words that look suspiciously like, "I beg to differ." Right then, a curved sword appears in Kadir's hand, as though he's just pulled it straight from thin air. Or maybe I'm just going nuts. Honestly, I'd be totally shitting my pants right now if that part of me wasn't offline. "I'm not here for your games, little raven. Choose your next words carefully." I'd argue this utter lunacy clears her of charges. She couldn't even cobble together a feeble story, much less orchestrate clandestine trading of this magnitude. And yarn spinning is supposed to be your clan's forte, isn't it? Last chance, my dear. Is there anything of substance you wish to add? Holy shit. This can't really be happening, right? What's my move? What would Reynard do? Reynard. If he had the decency to pop up or at least toss me a fucking heads up, I wouldn't be knee-deep in this disaster. Is he really in trouble? Or what if he bailed on me? Got a hint the Camarilla was breathing down his neck and decided I'm the perfect scapegoat. No, that doesn't sound like him. But why target me and not Reynard? Sure, he's gone now, but could they really be that clueless about him? I'm totally lost, but I do know what he would probably do. His move would be to look out for number one. Spill the beans, more than necessary, to buy some time. Time is gold, and with enough of it, maybe there's a chance to wiggle out of this mess. It's all or nothing now. Hit the jackpot or end up porcupined with stakes. Guess there's not much point in playing dumb, huh? Couldn't agree more. Game on. Alright then. So, I indeed am tangled up in this little blood trafficking operation. Playing a pretty crucial part, if I do say so myself, though I guess not everyone's on board with that assessment. I do the logistics, pushing merchandise through a series of dark web channels. Every eyebrow in the room goes up, except for the cigarette aficionado in the back, who lets out a slight smirk. I mean, a little controlled drama never hurts in a short con. All totally secure and anonymous. No slips about, you know? Our thing. Everything masked by the hustle of more mundane black markets. No way we're blowing the Masquerade. We deal in stored blood, as you might have caught on. Not just any blood, though. Our merch is a little jazzed up. Thaumaturgically enhanced, to be exact. It's the only way they'd work, as you're well aware. I am, but that's not for you to find out. Right. Of course. Oh, and we also deal in, let's just call them family treasures, but honestly, that's more like a side gig than anything serious. But we're extremely careful about picking our clients, and really thorough when it comes to making deals. You know, the traditions and all. I was sure we'd never even come close to breaking them. At least, that's what he led me to believe. I had a hunch there were some dodgy dealings in his more secret ventures. To deny that would be a flat-out lie, but let's be real. I'm way outside the inner circle to have any real sway in those parts of his enterprise. For a brief moment, an uneasy silence sweeps over the room. His enterprise. Is this a joke? Exactly who is this he you're referring to? I give it my all to appear as blameless as possible. I presumed you knew it was my sire who's masterminding it all. The room's heavy silence is soon filled with hushed whispers following my revelation. Good. If fortune is on my side, I might just live to see another moonrise. Indeed, how fortuitous. And your sire would be...
There's only one other notable rogue in the city who comes to mind. Someone dipping in and out, known for their shifty nature, of which I was somewhat aware. Reynard Castle.
You nailed it, Chief. Sir. Another brief moment of silence gets interrupted by the girl in black who addresses the sheriff. I can practically hear the cogs turning in your head, Kadir. What's your take on it?
Truth be told, it does add up, though I had him pegged more as a con artist than a trafficker.
And that's why he hasn't been apprehended yet, Sheriff? Are you secretly endorsing activities that impede the circulatory system's operations?
For your own good, Payne, I'll pretend I didn't catch that. Or would you care to question my dedication to our cause again? Be warned, my patience wears extremely thin these nights.
Can we put this bickering on hold? At least for the moment. An opportunity staring me in the face. How could I resist squeezing myself right into it? Oh, one more thing. Reynard and I had a meeting lined up with a client a few hours back, but he never showed up. In the whole year and a half I've been in this gig, he's never just vanished like this.
And what do you make of it?
Now, with the floodgates of truth wide open, it's time to dive into the art of lying my ass off. To be honest, I'm not sure, but now that I think of it, he's changed over the last month. He's become a lot more erratic than usual. Are you ready for my theory? I'm pretty sure he caught wind of your lot and decided to feed me to the flames while he made a run for it. Whether they're swallowing my story or not, they're just tired of my presence. It feels like I'm nudging things the way I want them. Not everyone's convinced, though. An unwitting pawn betrayed by her master. A likely story. Suitable for the stage indeed, but in this context, if I may. Oh, I don't know how to spell that.
Damn it, Patrick, don't go getting yourself into...
Baron's warning arrives a bit too late. Instantly the others shift their focus, fixing their eyes on the caitiff with unmistakable hostility. It's clear they're not exactly fond of him. Is it Patrick? Patrick? I'll have to look that up. Since you've already disrupted the proceedings, you might as well say your piece, mediator. Very well then. I'm inclined to believe her, at least in the aspects most significant to the interest of our allies. Thanks, you mysterious weirdo. As ever, your assertion remains devoid of substance.
My guy's advice is pretty much always on point. His track record speaks for itself.
The sheriff has a point that seems to hold water. Her sire might be the one at fault. She's essentially a non-entity, is she not? A nobody that slipped under the radar until, by a stroke of sheer bad luck, she got caught red-handed. Do excuse the pun. When you give it another look, the evidence you have collected should indeed back up that claim quite convincingly.
And what grounds your intricate evaluation precisely?
My judgment is shaped by your vast experience and simply tempered by reasoning and intuition.
It changes little regarding the consequences she must face for her complicity in her sire's crimes.
It's do or die. How about I serve you Reynard's head on a silver platter in exchange for mine, unscathed, on my shoulders? Kadir's stare pins me under silent disapproval, but he lets me, as the curly-haired asshole put it, spin my yarn. I know all his secret spots in this town, plus the spots he wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. I'm wired into his network, his contacts. I've got his playbook down, and I can stay one step ahead of him with ease. Just give me a chance, and we will all be thanking our lucky stars by the end. They slip into quiet introspection, or maybe they're just playing a round of mental chess, trying to read each other's minds without uttering a word. I have reservations about this daring proposition. Consider the potential fallout if this entire situation spirals out of control. Kadir throws up his hand, clearly over dealing with my case.
Capturing this well proved hardly a challenge. I wouldn't sweat the idea of catching her again. What's more, entrusting her with Castle resolves two issues at once. It swiftly eliminates her presence and enables us to prioritize genuine concerns. But someone has to keep a constant watch over her. Valerie, perhaps one of yours...
A batshit crazy idea burst into my mind. The kind of a gamble that could either turn out brilliantly or spectacularly implode. Let the dice roll. How about him? I jabbed my finger toward the quiet caitiff. Pedrick, was it? His expression shifts to one of utter confusion as he catches the subtle smirks of the council members. No, surely you're not considering... Oh, this could play out quite favorably, I must admit.
Quite favorably indeed.
Holy shit, it actually worked.
Very well. Pedrick Conroy, I hereby appoint you as the agent caretaker for this Ravnos neonate. I hate to break it to you, Sheriff, but this call is out of your turf. He's with us Anarchs, and you know it well enough.
The Anarch movement, originally called the Anarch Revolt, this sect is as old as the revolution against the Camarilla itself. All vampires who fall outside the tower's control are considered unbound, and the Anarch movement is a small but visible subsection of the unbound who, rather than hide, have decided to fight back. Technically, when he took on the whole peacemaker role for our cliques, he acquired a level of neutrality, so... yeah. Kadir redirects his gaze to the caitiff.
Your responsibility is to ensure she fulfills the assignment within 4 nights, starting now. Any slip-ups on her end will reflect on your record as well. Do we have an understanding?
4 nights. Not a whole lot, but better than nothing. His resigned nod mirrors exactly how I feel.
Now, back to where we were.
Their sudden disinterest in me is a clear, get out of here signal. Seems like I managed to slide from one pit to another. But hey, I bought myself a little time. And in my world, that is precious currency. Unless, of course, that caitiff turns out to be a wild card. Okay, well, we spared ourselves from getting our heads chopped off. And it seems like the very uneasy truce between the Anarchs and the Camarilla is already on very shaky ground. It was awesome to see Julia again, though, for sure. But now we've got a friend, the other character that we'd unlock once we finish Callie's story. But this is a great place to end it, so we will see what's going on in the next episode. If y'all like the video, please leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, that'd be a big help. I will see you next time. Later days, everyone.